Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are bridging the gap between classroom theory and actual real-world broadcasting. We're going to be taking a really close look at the ARTvNET manual. It's basically this fascinating blueprint for a premier campus experiential learning laboratory. If you've ever wondered how media students actually learn to run a full-blown television and radio network before they've even handed in their final college thesis, well, you are in exactly the right place.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 5 key areas. First up, where theory meets broadcast practice. Second, the evolution of ARTvNET. Third, the network's really unique hub-and-spoke structure. Fourth, the student roles that actually make it all happen. And finally, number 5, the incredibly diverse program lineup they produce. Let's jump right in.
All right, starting off with Section 1, Theory meets Broadcast Practice.
The source manual hits us right away with this incredibly powerful dilemma. It says the four corners of the university is a hollow mass of theories without a course medium of exposure. And wow, think about that for a second. You can read textbooks all day about camera angles. You can study broadcast journalism ethics until you're blue in the face, and you can totally memorize audio mixing techniques. But without a real venue for practical application, that theoretical education remains just a bare notion. It's like having a map, but never actually going on the trip. The theory absolutely needs a space to grow.
And that brings us to the ultimate game changer, the Ateneo Radio and Television Network, or ARTvNET. Established specifically for the Department of Media Studies, this is definitely not just an after-school club. No, this is a full-scale simulation of the actual broadcast industry. They use the web to stream their programs, which basically gives students an arena to dive headfirst into the field way earlier and in a much more advanced way than your traditional on-the-job training. It literally turns the school into a productive home for real-world media training.
Moving right along to Section 2, the evolution of ARTvNET.
So how did this all come together? Tracing its rapid trajectory, the network actually launched back in 2013, and very quickly, between 2014 and 2016, it hit what the manual affectionately calls its glory years. They established regular weekly webcasts and started aggressively using platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Then, a massive milestone hit in 2015, when the network began running entirely on student interns. That truly solidified its role as a training ground, and all that hustle? It paid off big time on June 1, 2016, when ARTvNET received official approval from the university president, officially cementing it as the campus's very own radio and television network.
Now, this rapid growth didn't just happen in a vacuum. The manual highlights how ARTvNET aligns perfectly with 10 modern communication tech trends that are shaping education right now. While all of these are super impactful, the network really capitalizes on a few specific ones. Social media, for sure. They're utilizing the exact platform students are already living on. Flipped learning, where the heavy lifting of practicing concepts happens right in the lab, and crucially, user-generated content. By empowering students to be the actual media creators, not just passive consumers, the network directly taps into how modern technology shapes the way we learn today. Because of all this, we get this really brilliant pedagogical concept at the university called the structured classroom. This seamlessly blends those theoretical lectures with hands-on laboratory production tasks. What does that mean in practice? It means ARTvNET isn't an extracurricular. It is deeply integrated into the curriculum. In fact, about 75% of the subjects offered in the department are directly connected to the network. The lab becomes this amazing playground where the theories learned inside the classroom are immediately put to the test.
Okay, let's pivot to Section 3, the hub-and-spoke structure. In the media world, you gotta be fast. You have to be adaptable and creative. A rigid, top-down corporate structure? Yeah, that often just stifles all of that. Instead, the manual introduces us to the hub-and-spokes model. This relies on a super strong central core that grants devolved autonomy to smaller, freestanding groups. This means these smaller teams can actually operate independently, strike their own deals, and pivot on a dime. Honestly, it's the perfect organizational design for a fast-paced, competitive, and highly volatile broadcast environment. Think about how this works structurally. You've got this solid core right in the center, made up of the Department of Media Studies faculty, the staff, and the larger student body. They are the stabilizing force, the policymakers, and the review board. But radiating outward, you have the spokes, the TV and radio productions, the scheduling teams, the resource managers. These spokes are the nimble, fast-moving teams that take the core's resources and autonomously turn them into tangible, real-world broadcast programs. It's a really brilliant balance of oversight and freedom. Which brings us to Section 4, Student Roles and Responsibilities. The actual people making the magic happen.
Here is where it gets incredibly real for the students. The network is completely driven by interns and volunteers, but, and this is a big but, it is not a free-for-all. Every single student takes on a highly specific professional-grade responsibility. You've got the executive producer coordinating the absolute highest level elements of a broadcast. Below them, the production manager is busy organizing the crew and all the complex technical needs. Then you have specialized writers, production technicians actually running the gear, and of course, the on-camera talent. This hierarchy turns the campus lab into a mirrored simulation of the real broadcast industry. They aren't just playing around, they are executing real, high-stakes industry roles.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the diverse program lineup. So what are they actually creating? Well, programming is divided into three main categories. Starting with information, education, and public affairs, these students produce a wildly dynamic range of shows. They handle rigorous, 30-minute straight news programs like Ateneo Frontline, hosted entirely by interns. But they don't stop there. They also tackle really complex societal issues, using sharp political satire, like in their show Escuela. They're constantly learning how to inform and engage their audience using a whole variety of different broadcast formats.
Meanwhile, their sports division is out there tackling some massive technical challenges. We're talking intensive, live, and recorded streaming coverage of basketball events across the campus and the city. For huge events like the Singly of Atenista intramurals, they are producing Olympic-style live multi-camera coverage. And if you know anything about broadcasting, you know that live sports is quite literally one of the most demanding tasks out there. And these students, they're pulling it off right from their campus lab.
And over on the entertainment side, they're pushing creative boundaries every single day. The department intentionally allows students to conceptualize and produce their very own programs. They aren't just reading off a given script, they own the whole process. They produce Wise of A, which is this cool lifestyle magazine show about what's hip in the city. They run live call-in shows like Dear Crush and really helpful student vlogs like MindFact, offering college survival tips. By fostering this authentic, user-generated content, students learn the deep accountability and the intense creative demands of real-world broadcasting. So we've seen how ARTvNET took what was once a hollow mass of theories and completely flipped the script, creating a vibrant, student-led broadcast hub using that clever hub-and-spokes model. It really leaves us with a fascinating thought. As educational technology and streaming platforms continue to advance at lightning speed, how will this next generation of student broadcasters, who are armed with this kind of intense, experiential learning, redefine the media landscape entirely? It's something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Catch you next time.